Alright, welcome to another, video of high quality stories. Okay, in this one, this one is is basically when I lost my virginity, actually. I was at, yeah, sorry, a little too buzzed there. So I guess this Friday the 13th, back in May, I was working late at night at this restaurant, and then one of the co-workers, so I guess, was just trying to give me. At first, he kept telling me that we were going to go to the other. We were going to a bar on the. We were going to go to a bar on the other side of the island. Living here on St. Thomas at the moment, but he told me that we'd go to the whole other side of the island, which you need a vehicle for. So I agreed to it and all that. So eventually, I guess not really intentionally, who knows, but on Friday the 13th, I guess he decided to say that was the best night to go for it. And so I'm getting a change of clothes and everything. I'm just getting ready to go to the bar that he's telling me we're going. It ends up not even being on the other side of the island. It ends up being just a couple, it's in between the distance from, it's at the halfway point from the work to my house. It wasn't that far away at all. It wasn't at all the other side of the island. So, shoot. So we go inside, and I'm starting to get an impression what it is. So we go inside, and it's basically I don't know. I don't know the best way to word it. Okay, it's basically a whorehouse. And so, instantly one just keeps eyeballing me and all that. I just try to go to the bar just to get my mind off of it. And she's literally latched onto me. She has her arm around me, all that. And it was I probably drank that one Heineken bottle, which cost me like $4, which was kind of bullshit. I probably drank that in like freaking 2 minutes. Somehow within those 120 seconds, I was able to, maybe it wasn't 2 minutes, maybe it was a little longer. But I'm just thinking, it's like, you know what? I'm here. The opportunity's right here. Might as well. Fuck it. So I decided to proceed onward. Again, I guess before I forget, I guess I should explain why I was a little hesitant about it. Is because basically, again, just 2 months before that, I almost got raped by this guy in my own house. Luckily, I don't think he was really. He didn't try to take off my clothes or anything, but he wanted me to take off mine. Luckily, he had a short-term memory problem and all that. But that's my last high-quality stories video. So that, it didn't traumatize me or anything. Like, I had no, I didn't wake up like scared or shit like that, or I wasn't afraid to fall asleep or anything, or the thoughts weren't really that bothersome. Like, they never really occurred that much. Like, my memory of it now is as vivid as it was when it happened, or shortly after it happened, and kind of, I guess for future reference in this story, I kind of don't have that much of a memory for, what all went down in that room when me and the, I don't know, really don't know, when me and her went and did it. But anyway, that incident in March happened, and it just got me thinking. Just how I wasn't really into any relationship. It just got me thinking, like, at no point, it was the first point where I was thinking, yeah, I don't think relationships are for me. And I was thinking this long before, but that kind of really pushed the envelope because I'm thinking, yeah, I mean, I just don't see it. I just never saw my future with anybody in the future or anything. Yeah, I just, nah. And then, earlier that May, just months down the road, I'm still thinking, I basically at this point I'm realizing that that I might be asexual. And asexual is that you're not really interested into the male, females, or either. You're not really pansexual. You're just not. You have no sexual preference or reference. And I don't know. That incident in March kind of got me thinking towards that way. Like for a while, I didn't know if I was bisexual or not. Like I just didn't know. I guess I couldn't tell if I didn't like one or didn't like the other. So I guess part of me was confused. Was like, do I like both? And then the answer was, no. The answer isn't both. It's neither. But anyway, that incident kind of got me thinking because if I was really into it, wouldn't I have remembered that night a lot more, and B, wouldn't I have like if I was really that into it, wouldn't I have just gone in his room myself? And then again earlier in May, that's just like 10 days before he takes me to the whorehouse. I'm walking home from the theaters, and I'm just minding my business, and all of a sudden this white car just stops and just urges me forward. So he's asking me if I want to ride down the hill, and I'm thinking he's wanting something in return, like money or something like that. And I'm saying I don't have anything, but he's telling me to get inside the car with him. So I'm a little hesitant, but I go inside the car. I'm being watchful. He's not locking the doors or anything like that. So I'm just I'm staying watchful for myself, just making sure I'm not making it that noticeable that I might be curious what's going on. So he keeps asking me, like, it's just a back and forth conversation shortly after that, after I get inside the car. So where he's basically asking me something in return. Like I'm thinking he's wanting money, and I'm telling him the truth. All I have is $1 in cash. I don't have anything on me. But he kept asking me, like, I gotta give him something in order to go down. So I keep telling him the same thing, like, I don't know if it's money. I'm telling you, dude, I don't have anything. There's nothing. I don't think there's anything in my other pocket other than my phone that you're really interested in. I didn't tell him I had the phone. It was a Galaxy S5, actually. I'm not going to risk telling him that. What if he took it? Knowing the island down here and how crime's the norm down here, anything can happen. But I was just telling him nothing in my pockets other than the $1 was all I had to give him in exchange. But he kept asking me. So eventually I just kind of got the impression maybe he's not after money. Maybe he's after a little road head or a little road hand job. I don't know. But I basically, at that point, I just slowly get out of the car, close the door, and then I just, as soon as I can, just walk forward. I walk in front of his car just to see if he's going to try to run me over and all that. Just walk ahead of his car. He eventually passes me, goes up the hill as if he's about to meet me on the other side. So I'll admit I ran across the street. And so with both of those incidences, again, none of them really scar me because I rarely think about either one of them. The only reason why I'm thinking about it now is because it relates to this story. And, I kind of told my friends about both incidences, and they just kind of laughed at it. One of them even said that who would have thought out of all the circle of friends, I'd be the one that'd be considered attractive by other people. And I don't know why that was. I don't know. I think one of them felt the need to laugh after that, or he was laughing while he was saying that. So he was a real dick, if you can tell. But again, it kind of just furthered my thinking. It's like, okay. And that kind of made me think, it's like, well, maybe that just means I'm not homosexual. Maybe that just means I'm heterosexual. I just haven't had the experience yet. Um, Again, not think what was going to happen that May 13th. So anyway, fast forward back or backtrack back to the part where I left off. So basically, I'm thinking, okay, fuck it, let's just do it. And we go upstairs. So we go upstairs. We go into one of her rooms. I'm thinking I'm gonna act like Jason Biggs off of Jason Biggs' character off of the American Pie movie, where I just ejaculate by the time I take my clothes off. But yeah, I'm just thinking like, holy crap, am I really doing this? As I'm taking my clothes off, she's taking hers. Actually, she's already half naked by the time I take off my first article of clothing. I don't know if YouTube will let this video go or not. But, see, we get on the bed, I'm just laying down, and she's asking if I want a blowjob first, and I'm like, yes. And, she does so. Actually felt like, that might have been the best part of that experience after that. Because that was the only time when she didn't have the rubber on, and then she took the rubber on. And, you know, we kind of did the whole cowgirl, reverse cowgirl thing. She was more submissive than anything. Like, she loved doggy style a lot. Kind of did a missionary and all that. The thing is though, like, after the first cowgirl, like after the second go down on the cowgirl thing, or maybe even a little far, it wasn't that far into it, but I think I had already jizzed inside the condom. Luckily it didn't break or anything, but it already jizzed. So basically all those other maneuvers where it's where it's doggy style, the first cowgirl, just all that I'd already ejaculated. Just somehow I was still hard. So eventually it just gets to where I go over my time limit twice. Just going badly at it. And so anyway, I eventually have to pay her more money than I don't have. So we went along the agreement. And this is after I take the rubber off and we're dressed and everything. So we make the agreement that she'll hold my phone while I go get the remaining money to pay her back. And I thought she gave me a 20-minute time limit or something like that. I remember her saying 20 minutes. So I just thought that's how much time she was giving me to go to the bank and back. I didn't think it was that far at the time, so I agreed to do so. And seeing as I just had sex for the first time, no less, I wasn't deflated yet. So pretty much the whole 10-minute walk to the bank from the house, I literally had a third leg in between my other two. Like the whole time going there, and I was kind of rushing too because I was noticing the clock was ticking. So the whole time there, while I'm at the ATM and halfway back, I still got a stiffy. And I'm just thinking, okay, hey, how long is this going to stay like this? I wonder if I can make it home this way. Look, I mean, again, by the halfway point going back, it had already deflated. It was just really more the feeling afterwards then. And so I go back in within the 20 minutes. I already meet the other guy who apparently just got a hand job. And I gave her the money. I got my phone back, and I guess me and the friend started talking. I guess he was telling me how much his was and how much mine. You know, we just talked about our prices, and he was saying that I paid. I think I mentioned the time me going over the time limit too. I think that was one of the first things I said. And And I think he told me that I paid way too much. Like, other than the $4 beer, I spent like 197 with the girl, and he's telling me that was way too pricey. Should have just been 60. And that just kind of made me realize I got fucked over twice. Really more metaphorical, obviously, the second time. But eventually, everybody's telling me that maybe the guy kind of brought me there so I could pay for his thing. And that made a little more sense, considering the fact that he went back later on that night. And I actually saw him go back legitimately, so he didn't just say he was going back. I actually saw him go back that night. He apparently said he was well known over there. And based on what she was telling me price-wise, it just didn't add up like that. I mean, even from the get-go, it kind of felt like I was paying for two people a little bit, especially since this was so cheap. Because I knew right then and there he really didn't just get a hand job. So based on that, just everybody telling me that, me thinking back on it making a lot of sense. Yeah, basically, so the first time I lost my virginity was the first time I ended up, it basically cost me $201 to lose my virginity. Because I'm counting that one beer, because I guarantee that beer was what talked me into doing it. Because I was just sitting here just hoping that she'd walk away and I'd walk out the door. I would just tell them I did stuff. I would have a whole lot more money. I would have had a whole lot more money in my pocket that night, which I knew that going in. But yeah, I should have just. I don't regret it though, because I was wondering why I didn't think about it that much, and I was wondering why I didn't really have the idea to do it again. Like, not even though it was like, oh, if it wasn't that good the first time, maybe it was because it was your first time, and it just got me. It just got me wondering why something that was both, something that was consensual for both parties, and an act that did actually happen, of me actually having sex. Why am I having just as much a hard time remembering or a vague memory of it, similar to the incident that almost happened in March? And eventually, over time, it got me thinking that, okay, I guess the overtime thing was really more of the denial part, but I guess over time it got me thinking that, okay, maybe I am asexual. Like, thinking back on it, not even just with all those recent stories, just years upon years, just I've never really saw myself with somebody. I always had the idea growing up, but it never really went as far as an idea. Like, not even in me trying as much as I imagined I would. But no, just even with thoughts of the future with my career, I never really saw myself settling down with a family or anything like that. So I just kind of, just thinking back on all that, just realizing those incidences earlier this year, it just made me realize, okay, yeah, I'm asexual. And since then, I've actually been pretty happy about it. I guess because I finally know that is what I am. And I gotta say, it's definitely a relief, especially since looking around, seeing now all the other relationships around me or hearing about them. Yikes! Yeah, I'm so glad I'm single. I now understand what the guy was talking about a few years ago when I told him I was single after he just told me he was in a relationship. And I told him I was single, and I told him at the time, I was like, oh yeah, and I guess you should be lucky or something like that, but at least you have a girlfriend or something like that, or something. I made it sound like I was a little lonely being single. And instantly the guy messaged back to me that I should be honored. And I just always thought why he said that. And again, coming to the conclusion. It just makes sense. It's like I understand now because, yeah, I now know why they say love stinks and love hurts, and I'm just glad I don't have to be a part of that. So anyway, that ended up being I guess a two-for video. One about me losing my virginity for the first time, and then one about, I guess just me coming out as asexual. So, yeah, I guess it's just a two-for video for that one. I guess you couldn't really have one without the other. And, yeah, thank you for sitting through the whole 21 minutes of all this. And I hope you have a good rest of the day or rest of the night. Peace out.